New at 11, we are learning more about some terrifying moments in Maryland. A mother rushed up to police at a crash scene just after midnight today. That was on Indian Head Highway and Livingston Road in Oxon Hill, just south of the Beltway. The woman was covered in blood. She told police her 17-year-old son hurt himself and was trying to kill her. The woman said her son started acting strange in the car. Then he stabbed himself. Police say they saw the teenager covered in blood running in the street, trying to break into other cars. Officers say the boy initially complied with orders, but then tried to attack them. Officers tasered him. They found 2 large injuries on his neck and brought him to a hospital where he died.